Hey team, it's Mr. Z, and today we're going to do some essential practice in order to prepare for Module 2, Topic 1, Summative. Oh yeah, let's go ahead and review. So factor theorem is basically saying that, hey, if you know that something is a factor, for example, if I know x minus 2 is a factor, we know that this is going to be linear, and it's going to have a x-intercept at 2, 0. Why is it 2, 0? Well, if this is just alone, if this is just f of x, my equation, is equal to a linear factor, an x-intercept is when it's equal to 0. Well, what number makes that 0? Well, 2. So I hope you can see where the 2 information comes from and the 0. This 0, the y is always 0 because it's an x-intercept. There's only two possibilities. A random x-intercept from a different unrelated problem could be on the left side. Notice how it could be negative 1 comma 0, but it still has a y value, is always going to be 0 for factors. Why? Because when y is equal to 0, that means it's an x-intercept, which we get from the factors. That's why we study the technique, because it enables us to solve. So in order to do these, there are two things you need to do. You have to think factors. I need to let f of x equal 0, and I'm going to have to substitute in my solution. Where did I get 2 from? Well, what number makes it 0? When I substitute both of these in, 0 is going to be equal to, and I'm going to be careful to write everything precisely, 2 to the third plus 8 squared minus 31 plus 22. And I replace all of my x's with 2's. Now at this point, what I need to do is to solve. So I'm going to start evaluating. I know that 2 to the third power is going to be 2 times 2 times 2, aka 3 2's. That's going to give me 8 plus. Now I'm not necessarily going to figure it all out at once. If I can, I can. I'm going to do 2 times 2 is going to be 4 minus 62 plus 22. Now I'm going to start cleaning this up as I continue to go. I'm going to combine 8 and 22 together to get 30. 8 plus 4 is going to be a 32, and minus 62. I notice that 32 plus 30 is 62, so it's going to be 0 equals 0. So what gives? Well, x minus 2 is a factor. This is remainder theorem. When the output is 0, you should be able to substitute in the x value and get that 0. Otherwise, it's not a true factor. So let's go ahead and do one more and just practice this skill. It's essentially the same thing. They're asking me, is x minus 3 a factor? So I have to remember, well, for factors, for x-intercepts, for all x-intercepts, f of x is equal to 0, and then x is going to be 3. Now, I'm going to go ahead and substitute all of this in. 0 is going to be equal to 4 times, 3, but I always like to write it out in one color and substitute in another. Pro tip. So I leave a gap with the parentheses, and then I'm going to go ahead and fill them all in. What am I dealing with? 3. Okay, again, I'm going to start simplifying this guy out. 4 times 81 minus 27 minus 52 times 3 times 3, so 9 times 52. 9 times 5 is 450. 9 times 2 is going to be 18. Put them together and you get 468. 35 times 3 is going to be negative 105. the way I get it is 3/30s is 90, 3/15s is 15. I'm basically just splitting it up, and instead of doing it like so, I'm treating them as separate entities before I distribute it in. So, nevertheless, whatever technique, you get negative 105 plus 12, and after I multiply 4 times 81, I get 324 minus 27 minus 468 minus 93, and I know that this is not going to be equal to 0. It's going to be some negative number, not 0. And what this tells us is, since it's not 0, x equals 3 is not a true x-intercept. X minus 3 is not a factor. 3 did not produce an output of 0. So essentially what we're doing is we're checking with the remainder theorem if I substitute in the x value, I need to get this y. Need to get y to be 0. If it is a true x-intercept. The reason being is whenever it's in an x-intercept, if you plug it into your equation, it should give you an output of 0. Here, in this first example, we got an output of 0, meaning that it was a factor. However, over here, it did not produce 0. So, no dice. I hope this helped be able to kind of just zoom in on the specific skill. See you next time.